right and the left together on major issues. So please join me in giving a warm polar bear welcome to Beto O'Rourke. Good morning. Buenos dias. That is very weak. Buenos dias. It's a little better. Principal Graver, thank you for having us out, for the introduction, for allowing me to be here with you. To each of you for joining us this morning. I'm going to be brief in my opening comments, and then I'm going to look forward to answering your questions. I know you've got one prepared, and also hearing your solutions. And I understand that you brought a solution with your question as well. I want to tell you why I'm here and why I'm running for president, and I want to see if I can do it through an experience that I just had in one of these classrooms that I just visited. A young woman asked me, how do you stay so hopeful and optimistic and positive? There are so many reasons to despair right now in this country. How do we keep our head up? The other thing that inspired me as I was walking down here, all the young men and women who have signed up to join ROTC and made a commitment to service to this country. So let me see if I can bring these two threads together. Why is this a perilous moment that might tempt us to succumb to despair? You look at any challenge that we face. The fact that we are cooking planet Earth beyond our abilities to sustain and support human life. The scientists tell us that we have but 10 years left within which to act to free ourselves from fossil fuels, to fully embrace renewable energy technology, to prevent this planet from warming 1.5 degrees Celsius over pre-industrial revolution levels, or failing that, the fires, the storms, the floods, the droughts that we see today will pale in comparison to what our children and the generations that follow will see tomorrow. We know that there are 11 million here undocumented who came from other countries, very often fleeing persecution, danger, violence, certain death, contributing to the greatness of America, and yet every single day live in fear that they will be detained or deported back to a country that they really no longer know and that their children have never been to. We live in a country that puts behind bars 2.3 million women and men, the largest prison population on the face of the planet, bar none. One that is disproportionately comprised of people of color. We do not have equal treatment under the law in this country. A country that is defined by the racism at its foundation, not in 1776, but the 20th of August, 1619, the first time someone kidnapped from West Africa was brought to this country against their will to begin building the greatness and the success and the wealth of America that neither they nor their descendants alive today can fully participate in. We have an economy where too many are working 3 and 4 jobs just to make ends meet. And in the wealthiest, the most powerful country on the face of the you have people who are crowdsourcing the funding for their insulin treatment for diabetes. You have people dying of the flu and curable cancers. And it is not as though we don't have the answers to these challenges. With climate change, we know that we have to end our dependence on fossil fuels and ensure that every single one of us is doing our part to save this planet. When it comes to immigration, we know that we need to rewrite this country's immigration laws in our own image to make sure that we live up to our values and our traditions and free those, especially the more than 1 million dreamers, from any fear so they can focus on their greatness and the greatness of this country. When it comes to our economy, we know that one job should be enough. We should pay a living wage, a minimum of $15 an hour, below which you cannot pay anyone in this country. And when it comes to health care, universal, guaranteed, high-quality care, which means primary care, the ability to afford your prescriptions. And in Iowa, which ranks 51st in access to mental health care, it means that if you have clinical depression or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, you can be able to see a therapist or a provider without regard to cost. Healthcare no longer a function of privilege or circumstance or luck or fortune, but a human right upon which you can depend. How do we make sure that given that we know these challenges and the solutions to them, we actually do something about them? That's when I come back to those young people who've already committed to serve this country. At every defining, decisive moment of truth in America's history, it has been young people who have stepped up to the challenge. When we faced Nazi Germany in World War II, though it was Franklin Delano Roosevelt who led this country, it was young men who were willing to board trains that took them to ships that crossed the Atlantic, to transports that would cross the Channel, who on the 6th of June 1944 landed at Normandy on D-Day to save not just this country, but the world, to make sure that it was free and safe for democracy going forward. We are the inheritors, the heirs of their service and their sacrifice. Those young people who stepped up to serve when it counted more than it had ever counted for before. I think about those in the 1950s and 1960s who led the civil rights marches, the freedom riders in the Deep South, those who followed John Lewis across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, the students at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro who on February 1st, 1960 had the courage and audacity to go into a Woolworth's lunch counter and order a cup of coffee, knowing that they would be denied service based on the color of their skin, and yet not allowing that to stop them showing up the next day and every day thereafter until they had integrated that lunch counter and inspired young people across this country, including those in Birmingham, Alabama, who in 1963 left schools and classrooms just like the one here in Des Moines and started marching the streets of Birmingham so that they and their parents would be treated like human beings and equal citizens in their own country. The police who met them with German shepherds, met them with fire hoses that could peel the bark off of trees and blasted the clothes off of those kids. 1,200 young people, as young as 12 years old, were arrested on the first day of that children's crusade. But it is to them, and those freedom riders, and those who integrated the places of public accommodation that we owe the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Though Lyndon Baines Johnson, my fellow Texan, signed it into law, it was the young people who forced the conversation and in fact forced the conscience of this country that are owed the credit. Y por último, Cesar Chavez, representing migrant farm workers, those who left their home country, their hometown, their family, their language, their culture, their customs, to start anew, strangers in a strange country, to do better for themselves and their families, just like any of us want to do better for ourselves and our families, but also to do better for all of us. Those in the vanguard of that front in the civil rights fight were so often young people, willing to serve and struggle and sacrifice and make sure that this country came a little closer to living up to its ideals, that all of us are created equal, to equal opportunity, equal treatment under the law, and equal opportunity to reveal their genius to the greater good of this country. We face just such a moment in this country right now, whether it is climate change, or gun violence, or access to higher education, or an economy that truly works for all, or health care as a right. Though there are those of us in positions of power, or who contend for them right now, who are my age or older, it's going to be the young people here in this room and across the country who force us to do the right thing. Because I believe in you and your leadership, and do not think that you are the leaders of tomorrow, but you're the leaders right now of this moment, I'm here to introduce myself to you and to listen to what's on your mind, to bring your stories, your solutions, your ideas into this campaign and into the service that I want to provide as president. Thank you for having me out here today. Looking forward to what you have to say. Let's have a rest. Y si se quieren preguntar en español, también podemos responder en español, también en inglés. Cynthia has a microphone. If you raise a hand, she'll bring it to you.
All right, here's our first question.
Eric.
How's it going? I just want a question. My question is what is your version of the American dream? What is your version of the American dream?
What's my version of the American dream? This, the greatest country the world has ever known, the largest economy on the planet today, the most ingenious, innovative people on the planet right now, the world's largest, most powerful military. In every way that you can measure in the whole, we are the greatest that has ever existed. But my dream is that every single one of us in this country can participate in that greatness. And we don't have that in America today. We don't have that in America where there's 10 times the wealth in white America than there is in black America. We don't have that in America today where in kindergartens in my home state of Texas, 5-year-old children are 5 times as likely to be disciplined or suspended or expelled if they are children of color. We don't have that in America today where we have a maternal mortality crisis that is 3 times as deadly for women of color. We don't have that in America today where not all of us have equal access to the ballot box. Might be a little bit harder based on the color of your skin, maybe a little bit harder for those who are living with disabilities in this country right now. My dream is that everyone has a chance to reveal their genius, live up to their potential and their promise in this country, not only because it is going to be good for them, but because it's going to be great for all of us. The sooner that this country lives up to this idea that we are all created equal and forms that more perfect union that you've heard every single president talk about, by ensuring that our differences are not seen as disqualifying or dangerous or dysfunctional, but as the very source of our strength, our success, and our security. The sooner we do that, the sooner this country lives up to its full promise. I'll tell you this by way of conclusion to this answer. My hometown of El Paso, Texas, is part of the largest binational community in the world with Ciudad Juarez. It is a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees from the world over. And it is not despite that, but because of that fact that we are one of the safest cities in America today. We choose not only to tolerate our differences, but to fully embrace them. That is the secret of our success in El Paso. That is the secret of our future success of America. We just must all commit ourselves to realizing that and achieving that American dream. Thank you for asking the question.
Okay, here's the next question, and then we'll go back up there. You already answered it, so we're going to go here, and then we'll go back up there.
Hi, so my question is, with there being a lot of young people that are getting involved in this upcoming election, what are you going to do to keep them engaged?
I'm here right now. I'll be back here, not just at North, but at other high schools, community colleges, and other places where young people are, because as I made the case earlier, this is where the energy and the leadership is for this country at this defining moment of truth. When the principal introduced me and said that I won more votes than any Democrat had in the history of the state of Texas, it was in large part because young people turned out in record numbers. During early voting in Texas in 2018, we saw a 500% increase in young voter turnout. And on any issue that I could possibly care about, it was young people at town halls just like these who were getting in my face to force the conversation and the solutions that might be politically difficult, but are absolutely necessary if this country is going to be able to make it. On gun violence, going beyond universal background checks and these extreme risk protection orders, as important as they are, and making sure that we ban the sale of weapons of war and buy back every single one of them that is out there. On climate, making sure that we do not take half steps or half measures or only involve half the country, but all of us doing all that we can to meet this existential threat before it is too late. I'm not here to ask you to register to vote or even to vote. I'm here to listen to you, your ideas, and to be inspired by your leadership. So it's important to me, not just as a candidate, but when we hold office, to come back and to continue to renew the faith that we have in one another, the solutions that we will form in common, and the leadership that I'm looking to you to be able to provide. That is how we all stay engaged, not just in election time, but every day, every month, every year going forward. So you'll see us back. Thank you for having us out here today. Appreciate it.
So you said that you will ban the sale of guns, but then there will be a more popular demand to be sold illegally. Sell them illegally, then we don't have any control over who has them and who are mentally sick that we think they are when they do a mass shooting, will have their hands on it. So why not just put in place a mental background check in every state and city before we sell them?
Thank you for the question. Couple of thoughts on this. I mentioned Iowa being 51st in access to mental health care. So we need to make sure that that is no longer the case, and anyone in part of this country can get the help that they need to live to their full potential. But I think there is a myth that exists that gun violence can be attributed to mental health care challenges or those who need mental health care help. In fact, those who have a mental illness are more likely to be the victims than the perpetrators of gun violence in this country. In fact, we have 40,000 gun deaths every single year in America. It's a number not seen anywhere else in the world. And other countries have their challenges with mental illness, have violent video games, have popular entertainment that glorifies gun violence, and yet do not have anywhere close to the level of carnage that we see here in the United States of America. The country of Australia, after a sensational mass shooting, not only banned AR-15s, AK-47s. These are weapons that were originally designed and engineered and sold to the militaries of the world to kill people on a battlefield, because they are devastatingly effective at doing that. In Dayton, Ohio, on the 4th of August, 9 people were killed by a gunman with an AR-15 in under 40 seconds. In El Paso, Texas, on August 3rd, the day before, 22 killed by an AK-47